Who is Lawrence Kohlberg?
Lawrence Kohlberg is an American psychologist and educator known for his theory of moral development. Born on October 25, 1927 in New York and died on January 17, 1987 in the age of 59.
What is a moral development?
Moral development is the process by which people develop the distinction between right and wrong, or what we call morality, and engages in reasoning between the two, or what we call the moral reasoning.
Lawrence Kohlberg, an American psychologist, was among the pioneers of moral development research, building on from the original propositions of Jean Piaget. Kohlberg theorized that humans develop their moral judgments in 6 stages. Kohlberg spoke with boys between the ages of 10 and 16 to test his theory. He then examined how they would defend their choice in light of several fictitious moral dilemmas. Kohlberg proposed that humans move through the stages in hierarchical order as their cognitive abilities develop. He did this by superimposing the participants' argument onto their cognitive development.
What did his theory claims?
Lawrence Kohlberg theory claims that our development of moral reasoning happens in 6 stages. The stages themselves are structured in 3 levels: the pre-conventional, conventional, and the post-conventional. Kohlberg's theory proposes that there are 3 levels of moral development, with each level split into 2 stages. Kohlberg suggested that people move through these stages in fixed order, and that moral understanding is linked into cognitive development. People can only pass through these levels in the order listed. Each new stages replace the reasoning typical of the earlier stage. Not everyone achieves all the stages. The 3 levels of moral reasoning include:
let's proceed to the level 1, which is the pre-conventional morality. Pre-conventional morality is the first stage of moral development and lasts until approximately age 9. At the pre-conventional level, children don't have personal code of morality, and instead moral decisions are shaped by the standards of adults and the consequences of following or breaking the rules. For example, if an action leads to punishment, then it must be bad, but if it leads to rewards, then it must be good. Authority is in the outside of individual, and children often make moral decisions based on the physical consequences of actions. And to understand this better, imagine a bullying happen in a campus.
There is a fight happened in a schoolyard. An 8th grader girl bullies and beats a little girl. Those who watch the fight are the different stages of moral development. Let's see what they do and how they justify their behavior.
Stage 1. Obedience and punishment orientation. The child or an individual is taught in order to avoid being punished. If a person is punished, they must have done wrong. The earliest stages of moral development, obedience and punishment, are especially common in young children, but adults are also capable of expressing this type of reasoning. According to Kohlberg, people at this stage see rules as fixed and absolute. Obeying the rules is important because it is a way to avoid punishment. At stage 1, we make moral judgments based on obedience and punishment. Christine, in the scenario's sense of good and bad, is directly linked to whether she gets punished or not. Christine sees what is happening to her friend and wants to help. She doesn't, however, because she is afraid that the teacher may punish her if she got caught fighting. She asks herself, how can I avoid punishment?
Stage 2. Individualism and exchange. At this stage, children recognize that there is not just one right view that is handed down by the authorities. Different individuals have different viewpoints. The individualism and exchange stage of moral development Children account of individual points of view and judge action based on how they serve individual needs. Reciprocity is possible at this point in moral development, but only if it serves one's own interests. At stage 2, we are motivated by the self-interest. Francel decides to intervene and help Tom. She knows that she might get punished, but she also knows that she could become a victim herself someday. If she helps Tom now, he might help her in the future. She is asking herself, wasn't it for me?
So now we are going to proceed to level 2, which is the conventional morality. Conventional morality is the second stage of moral development, and it is characterized by an acceptance of social rules concerning right and wrong. At the conventional level, most adolescents and adults, we begin to internalize the moral standards of valued adult or role models. So authority is internalized but not questioned, and reasoning is based on the norms and group to which each person belongs. A social also system that stresses this responsibility of relationship as well as social order and seems as desirable and must, therefore, influences our views of what is right and wrong.
Stage 3. Good interpersonal relationships. The child or individual is good in order to be seen as being a good person by others. Therefore, answers relate to the approval of others, often referred to as the good boy, good girl orientation. This stage of the interpersonal relationship of moral development is focused on living up the social expectations and rules. There is an emphasis of conformity being nice and consideration of how choices influence relationships. At stage 3, interpersonal accord and conformity guide our moral judgments. Daisy sees the fight and wants to intervene, but when she realized that all the others are just watching, she decided not to get involved. She wants others to see that she is a good girl who is conforming with ethics of community. She asked herself, what do others think? Thanks. Maintaining the social order. The child or an individual becomes aware of the wider rules of society, so judgment concerns obeying the rules in order to uphold the law and to avoid guilt. This stage is focused on ensuring that social order is maintained. At this stage of moral development, people begin to consider society as a whole when making judgments. The focus is on maintaining law and order by following the rules, doing one's duty, and respecting authority. At stage 4, we value authority and wants to maintain social order. When the teacher sees the group fighting, she immediately steps in and shouts, "Stop fighting! At schools is forbidden." She feels that above all, it is important to follow the rules. Otherwise, chaos breaks out, and that is her duty to uphold the rules that sustain a functioning society. The teacher at the moment asks herself, how can I maintain law and order?
Now, we have the last level, which is the post-conventional morality. Post-conventional morality is the third stage of moral development, as is characterized by the individual's understanding of universal ethical principles. These are abstract and ill-defined, but might include the preservation of life at all costs and the importance of human dignity. Individual judgment is based on self-chosen principle, and moral reasoning is based on individual rights and justice. According to Kohlberg, this level of moral reasoning is as far as most people get. Only 10 to 15% are capable of the kind of abstract thinking necessary for stage 5 or 6. Post-conventional morality, that is to say, most people take their moral views from those around them, and only minority think through ethical principle for themselves.
Stage 5. Social contract and individual rights. The child or individual becomes aware that while rules and laws might exist for the good of the greatest number, there are times when they are work against the interests of a particular individual. The ideas of a social contract and individual's right cause people in the next stage to begin account for the differing values, opinions, and beliefs to the other people. Rules of a law are important for maintaining a society, but the members of the society should agree upon this standard. At stage 5, we understand the rules of a social contract as opposed of a strict order. Christine, who watches afar, is not sure how she feels about this. To her, rules make sense if only serve all the right purpose. Obviously, the school rules prohibited fighting, but maybe Tom deserved to finally learn his lesson. Just yesterday, he punched a young girl from a grade 1. She asked herself, does the rule truly serve all the members of the community?
Stage 6. Universal Principles. People at this age have developed their own set of moral guidelines which may or may not fit the law. The principles apply to everyone. Kohlberg's final level of moral reasoning is based on universal ethical principles and abstract reasoning. At this age, people follow these internalized principles of justice, even if they conflict with the laws and rules. At stage 6, we are guided by universal ethical principles. All those involved now have to face the headmaster. She first explains the school rules and why they exist. She then clarifies that rules are valid only if they are grounded in justice. The commitment to justice carries with an obligation to disobey unjust rules. The headmaster's highest moral principles is compassion. She believes that all people should learn to understand each other's viewpoints and that they don't feel alone with their feelings. She also asks, what are the abstract ethical principles that serve my understanding of justice?
At the pre-conventional level, Christine is driven by fear and Frincel by self-interest. Both judge what is right or wrong by the direct consequences they expect for themselves and not by social norms. This form of reasoning is common among children. At the conventional level, Daisy responds to peer pressure, and the teacher follows the rules. There, morality is centered around what society regards as right. At this level, the fairness of rules is seldom questioned. It is common to think like this during adolescence and adulthood. At the post-conventional level, Christine knows that things are complicated because individuals may disobey rules inconsistent with their own morality. The headmaster follows a universal ethical idea at complete disconnect with what society thinks or the rules say. To her, everything is solved through compassion. The right behavior, in his opinion, is therefore never a means to an end, but always an end in itself. Not every person reaches this level.